Hello, wherever you watch me from, wherever you follow me from, it's with me again, Ibrahim Asonko. I am the host of the Dialectic Space podcast, and today I have the honor to have with me my very good brother and somebody who is very prominent in our Gambian and larger African community here in Washington State, particularly in Seattle. My guest, ladies and gentlemen, is Mr. Pa Ousman Joof, the founder and executive director of Washington West African Center, based here in Washington, specifically in Linwood, not very far from where I live myself. Pausman, welcome to the Dialectic Space podcast. How are you doing today?
Thank you very much. I'm doing fine, Mr. Sanko. Um, and I just want to say thank you for having me and congratulations for starting this wonderful thing. I saw you advertise it. I'd never had the opportunity to watch any of your episodes, but I see it trending and have no doubt that you are doing an amazing job.
Thank you. Let me also hasten to add that, your journey, there is several layers to Pa Usman, because when it comes to media too, you're extremely prominent. You've been in this area together with a lot of other things that you're involved in. So I must say that, people like me are able to do this, are able to even establish ourselves within this arena, albeit starting, because of individuals like yourself, is your ability to venture into areas that most Gambians would perhaps shy away from, but also there and having the courage to start something new, and also to lead conversations on social events, on social activities, on community engagement, on dialogues. You've done that a lot. So I'm able to do this because of individuals like yourself. So I stand on your shoulders on that matter, and on your legacy as well, in terms of your contributions, not only social justice and social causes for our African community and Black community here in Washington, but also back home in the Gambia as well. So today I'm really excited to sit down with you. And let me also add that, since I've moved here about a little over 5 years ago, you've definitely been extremely welcoming and accepting and very supportive of me. Wherever we meet, you always receive me with a wonderful smile. And we, even though have never been pretty close, but we've been in several activities or events together. And so for me, this is a big honor to sit down. Also, I work with the Seattle Gambia Association at some level, and also the community foot soccer team. I'm always involved, but if there is one person that symbolizes what it means to be involved in community, that's you. So I think this is really wonderful that I'm able to have this with you, to talk to you about your life, about your journey, about really what inspires you to do the things that you do. Because there's a lot of Gambians here, but there is not a lot of Pa Usmans, and I can confidently say that. So this means a lot to me. So once again, thank you very much.
Well, thank you for the compliments, Mr. Sonko. You can take uh, me out of journalism, but you can't take journalism out of Pa Usman. I certainly love to do it and look forward to coming back to the microphone. Always happy to see people take it to the next level. And to be honest, especially Gambian journalism, there is a big gap with people not with journalists not doing a lot of homework and research and knowing the things to talk about and the things that are relevant, that are important for society to know. I mean, this media landscape is polarized. So having fact-based independent journalism is very important for Gambia to have. When I practice, I tried my best to be independent back then. So seeing people like you taking it to that next level and continuing that journey, holding people in authority at different levels to power, to account is very important. So I just want to congratulate you and encourage you to continue doing that. What I'm currently doing is intertwined. In fact, it's interesting to know that it all started with the Gambian talents, and journalism work gave birth to everything that I am doing. Side by side, two things I've done consistently since I was a child until now, being in the media and community work. this has been me, and it's still what I am doing. I did juxtapose them all through from childhood to where I currently am, whether it was in Gambia to when I came to the US, and still continue to do, the same thing. So they are intertwined and interrelated. Just that at the international level, my work is focused more, and I'm seen more on the social side, social justice side, but I'm still doing a lot of work with journalism. So thank you for doing what you do.
No, thank you very much once again, Pausman. But like we always do here, we begin with getting to know who our guest is, because it's one thing to have a nonprofit that expenses over $1 million a year, because I know what you have here, and sometimes it's even hard to imagine that a Gambian runs something as significant and as large scale as what you have here. I know that because I live here, I feel the impact of what you're doing. But everyone has a story, everybody has a beginning, right? And I would like
Mhm.
you to really walk us through, really, where did it all start for Pa Usman, from Gambia all the way to perhaps when you first moved here to the United States? If you would take us through the journey, I know it's a long journey, we cannot get through everything, but I think the most important, I, let me not even say the most, I think every story is important. It depends on who is telling the story. But if you really share with us part of your journey, where it all began for you to where you are today.
It all began in Farafenye, in North Bank region, where I was born and did my early childhood education. I briefly hinted that I have always been a people's person. I have always been in media and in community organizing. I remember being at Farafenye Primary School. I was student leader at different levels, and of course, um, the Cub Scout leader being the most prominent one. Remembering in 1995 or 96, when former President Yahya Jammeh came to Farafenye, as a little boy, I was the Cub Scout leader that led uh, um, the march past that was done, leading all the security forces in Farafenye, from the military, the police, the immigration, the fire department, and of course the scouts, were the General Scout and the Cub Scout group. I did that. I was a member of the Red Cross Society. I was a member of drama groups. So community involvement has been me. Social work and entertainment has been me at school level. And when I left the primary school, went to Farafenye Middle School, I was the head boy of Farafenye Middle School, was always involved when it comes to media. I was always, involved with the media. I remember during Commonwealth Day celebrations, I would actually serve as the president or assume other roles, important roles like members of the diplomatic corps or ministers and stuff. I have always been involved in community organizing, participating, and throughout my entire life. And eventually, when I went to St. Augustine's, where I did my high school in Banjul, very involved with different clubs as well, from the Writers Club, the Quiz and Debate Society, to the Music Club, to the president of the Islamic Club, the president of the Peer Health Educators. And did so much. And of course, founded the Gamsense Reconciliation Team, which is one of my biggest achievements and things that I'm proud of. Of course, everybody in the Gambia back then knew the competition from both academics and sports was between St. Augustine's and Gambia High School. And this competition was so, at a high level that it turned out to be toxic, where principals of both schools would not even interact for the most part. Even though we are neighbors, we would not attend each other's speech day ceremonies. St. Augustine's will have speech day, and you see principals of Muslim, JC5, all the even schools in Combo will come attend it. St. Augustine's principal wouldn't be there, and same thing with Gambia High. And I'm talking about our time, by the way. Um, uh, and this inspired me to come up with the Gamsense Reconciliation Team committee idea to reconcile the two schools after a stampede happened at the National Independence Stadium, where I mean, it led to a loss of life and a lot of people being hurt. And this was idea was embraced by all and sundry in the country. And the former president Yahya Jammeh decided to support it by providing us with financial support from State House. The Ministry of Education was part of it, and several other things. And this was led by myself. Task force committees were set up comprising of students from St. Augustine's and Gambia High School. I mean, who actually ran this for 3 days. We have a program that was very interesting, invited school from every student from every high school in the country who came and participated in a 3 day social entertainment events. We came together. After that, I was part of the inter-school sports committee representing the students for the first time. The inter-school sports committee was only comprised of elders, seeker, and other people. For the first time, a student was involved in that committee, as far as I know, talking from the lenses of students, discussing with paramilitary. So everything I'm doing currently, I started in Gambia. It was organizing, it was bringing people together, representing the voices of the voiceless. I mean, looking at gaps that exist and problems that exist in the society and finding solutions to them. This is what I have done all through. And in 2004, 2002, after I graduated from high school, together with 6 other colleagues, we formed the Youth in Development and Change, YIDAC, that did an amazing work promoting and supporting young people of the country, doing a lot of outreach and advocacy back then. Um, uh, uh, of course, for on different topics that affect the young people, using drama and skits on the media. We were all over having programs on GRTS, radio and TV, on all the private radio stations from Radio 1 FM. You, uh, you call it City Limits Radio, I mean, and all the radio station West Coast that were in existence at the time, newspapers and everywhere. So it was a very interesting journey. And fast forward to 2004, of course, I came to represent the Gambia at an international conference at the Brigham Young University in Salt Lake City, Utah. And the
The
journey
rest
in
is
the
history.
United States started afterwards. Yes, never went back. If you have time, I'll be happy to delve with what happened. But the journey to the United States began then.
As they say, the rest is history. And I think what is beautiful about your journey, and I think for most Gambians, a lot of us grew up, from very underprivileged backgrounds. I don't know much about yours, but personally, I think that influenced a lot of what I had become and things that became important to me and things that I want to do, things I want to fight for. And so even here, like seeing what you do, if anybody knows you or trace your history, they will say, no, this is not new. Pausman has been doing this since back home. And even for a young person like myself, it's similar. All of my life since I was 13, I think I was involved in canvassing. I was involved in community mobilization. I was involved in social justice initiatives. Even it's there instances that I didn't really understand what that meant. But I think that speaks to how that has impacted us to become sort of the life that we live now, and also some of the things that become extremely important to us. But coming to the United States, Pa Usman, there are different parts of your journey here that you've chronicled publicly, including on your website of your nonprofit that you have, the Washington West African Center. Currently serve, you founded the nonprofit, but you also serve as the executive director. And there you detail some of the most excruciating experiences that you went through, including being arrested by ICE, Immigration Enforcement, in 2008, and you have been
Mhm.
detained for over months. In this political climate in the United States, immigration is a highly contentious and somewhat human rights issue that is ongoing. Talk to us a little bit about that. How was that experience like when you first moved to the United States, and the subject of regularizing your immigration status is something that most immigrants until today are faced with? And then being arrested takes it to a whole different level of being subjected or subjugated to abuse sometimes legally, sometimes it's just too extreme. But in light of, to contextualize that to what is going on today, if you can share some of your experience, what you went through, and how significant is this moment for most immigrants in the United States?
Thank you very much. Whenever I talk about this, it brings a sweet and sour feeling, and it's okay because it is me. It is what made me who I am. Based on everything I told you, I was somewhat established and had a path and a future back home. I left it there, came and attended the conference here, and so many things happened that led to me not going back to Gambia. Now that opened a whole new chapter for me. You imagine as established as I was, the voice that I had, the structure, the future, but I came to the United States and stayed over. I had no voice. I knew nothing. The system was completely different. The system was created to set me up to fail and, of course, criminalized me. Relating that to what is currently happening, obviously, this is the reason why I established the Washington West African Center to serve as a voice based on my lived experience, based on what I knew, what I have been through. Because I lived here for now 20 something years. I only became a citizen 3 years ago. My immigration file is this thick. I have changed work permits over 10 times.
Wow.
I know the immigration system. I know it's a hoax. I know they lie to people. I know they set people up for failure. And I was almost turned into a criminal when I am not one. I didn't commit any crime. There is nothing on my record that I am convicted of. But if you go to my record, you will see that I was booked in a county jail at Gadsden City in Alabama, at the Etowah County Detention Center, where I was arrested and put in 2008, as you mentioned. I've been through so much with immigration. They lied to me when they came to arrest me back then out of our house in Atlanta, in College Park, Georgia. Everything else they did to me, put me on a monitoring bracelet. I mean, keep me in jail for 4 solid months, release me on an order of supervision, and put me on a monitoring bracelet for 9 months. And it was the quest for independence, of course, led me to move to Alaska back then. I've been through so much with immigration. And for a lot of people who don't know how my work started, who think this is something I just created to because I see an opportunity, that's not the case. This work is very personal to me. And I'm the type of person that has always served as a guinea pig, that always had to go through stuff and make sure my people, folks that I know, people I associate with, people that look like me, they have a voice to make sure they do not go through the same ordeals and challenges that I've been through. Or if they are going through, they have a shoulder to lean on and somebody that will be there to guide them. And this continues to be manifested, where regularly we are hearing and documenting and following cases of people that have been arrested. As late as yesterday, I received a call from a member of the community that is arrested and detained by ICE. 2 weeks ago, exactly about 2 weeks ago, I received on the 27th of last month, I received a call from one of our brothers, Zaid Chadri, who of course was arrested, who went for his immigration citizenship, test at the immigration office and was arrested there and detained for 4 months. He's not from West Africa. His story is all over in the news. You can look it up afterwards. When he called me, the first thing he said is, I'm just coming out. The day he was released, the day before, he called me the next day, said there are so many West African brothers in the jail. I told them about you. We know because we organize together. We go to the state capital to do some advocacy work with the lawmakers. We organize, do a lot of organizing. We are all part of the Washington Community Alliance and several organizations, and platforms that where we champion immigrant rights. So much that is happening right now are things that I can relate to, things that I went through. When people come and they want food, I know what that is like, because it reminds me of when I had no money and went to Sam's Club to do some groceries back when I was in Alaska, and I only had a piggy bank that had some coins, and a jar of mayonnaise, it fell, and all the coins scattered in the store. The cashier I was working towards had to shut down her register to help me pick my coins so that I can buy the little food that I wanted for me and my family. It reminded me of when I needed a lawyer and I could not afford a lawyer. That led me to a lot of the mess that I went through. It reminded me of how I was evicted out of my apartment complex in Clayton County, Georgia, and I had to move back to my sister's house in College Park. When people get arrested, I remember when ICE was trying to criminalize me, the day that they came to arrest me out of our house in College Park, and when they took me to the office and all the lies that they told me, and when they took me to Alabama to the jail, everything that happened there. Again, for I'm not delving into all of those experiences, but I will be happy to share with you and your audience all the things that happened that they really did to try to criminalize me back then, that they still continue to do. Is it worse now? Yes. A lot of our people are scared to go report, because when they go report to them, because they are on probation, they get arrested there and detained. In 2017, when President Trump took over office again, I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of the people I was in jail with get deported back home. Very sad moments. Right now, yesterday, if you go to my Facebook page, you will see that I shared a video. Yesterday, they were on Everett Mallway, where we have a lot of our community members live around that area and do a lot of things. So it's really scary with what they are doing, but we continue to serve as a shoulder for our community to lean on by having know your rights classes and workshops, by educating the community, by empowering and connecting them with legal aid lawyers, and by also standing by them at every given time as needed, supporting them in the legal way that is possible. But our work is very difficult now, where we see a lot of entities and institutions who used to support immigrants and BIPOC communities now distancing themselves from communities like us because of the current status quo, because they don't want to be in trouble with the government, because they don't want to be under the radar, because they don't want their licenses and other things to be revoked. And the divide and rule conquer is what is being applied at this point, the fear mongering and all the things that they are doing. Not sure if this answers your question, but yes, it gets us to be more motivated and stronger to continue to do what we do. That gone are the days when we will just sit by and allow them to continue to lie and manipulate and take advantage of us and our people in different ways. This country was built under the blood, sweat, and tears of our forefathers, and that should be recognized. And I debunk the notion that immigrants are criminals. All the things that are happening are not caused by immigrants. There are very few percentage of all the crimes that they are talking about in this country that is perpetrated by criminals, by immigrants. And I debunk that notion. Most of us are disciplined, decent, hardworking people who are taking care of our families and contributing towards the socio-economic and political ambitions of this country. Thank you.
So, I mean, that's important to highlight. I think there's a lot of fear within our community. Not only our community, there's a lot of fear within immigrant communities in the United States. Not just not just for people of color, but also like in terms of what the institution of law enforcement in terms of immigration are doing right now. We've seen recently what happened in, for example. But in terms of work at your non-profit, because certainly there are some or groups of individuals who in this country who are part of the African community who are undocumented, for example, and they come into contact with law enforcement and they take them and put them to jail and put them in the courts put them in some form of people who are out there on the deportation orders, but they are not under custody, for example. Now, certainly your organization is unable to do much to provide resources for those groups. Would that be accurate?
No, because we have a host of resources for our community members. And this is where I tell our people, Gambians especially, to try to learn and understand what is happening. You've mentioned it at the beginning about the structure and establishment that's in place, my organization and what we do. Oftentimes, it's only when things get out of hand that people come to us, when it's irredeemable, when it's out of control, when very little can be done. A lot of times, our people sit by and rumor monger and talk and create things that we have very little or no knowledge about, that we lie about each other, that we establish jealousy with each other, that we do not care what is going on. I keep saying it as it is. Just yesterday, I had this conversation with a couple of young Gambians that came to actually volunteer at Wawak, and some that were attending the sewing classes. And I told them individually, Gambians, since this is specific to Gambia, I said Gambians individually are doing great in the United States, but especially in Washington State, people have been to, have been to school, established, have very good jobs. Some establish their own businesses. Some are in the corporate world, and you name it, in diverse fields. Established families, going on vacations. I mean, making name for themselves and for their families. But when it comes to the collective level, we are failing as a people because we do not tend to try to understand and recognize the greater need of the society. Just because you have a place to sleep does not mean that you everybody else have a place to sleep. Because this last week alone, we have taken a couple of people out of the streets to put them in some of our master leasing unit. My organization has leases with 3 apartment complexes in the area here, which I would not mention, where we put our people. Somebody gets out, or somebody is on the streets. This last week, I'm telling you, 2 people. One of them, less than 25-year-old Gambian woman, we put her into housing in one of our master leasing units. We are serving people from across the board, whether it's through these apartment complexes that we have leases with, whether it is people who live in their natural homes that are going through all kinds of challenges, immigration issues, financial challenges, lost their jobs in this day and age of technology, and so many reasons why the job market is just not what it was, and people are losing their jobs, to women fleeing domestic violence situation. We are helping tangible people to actually put a roof over their heads, to help them pay their bills. We have this partnership with the county and the cities and the state, where we had access to some of these resources to provide, this support. We provide ESL classes for people who don't know how to speak, read, or write English. We have an after-school program for the kids in the community, who, for people to bring their kids. If you've been to our programs, or you come to the center, or you follow our social media, you will see some of these things. With winter break, during which we took the kids to so many different places and teach them about African culture, tradition, help them with their homework, help them, teach them social and life skills, and have so many people that came to talk to them, to inspire them about careers. Any minute those kids spend at our office or is a minute they're spending off the streets. And so many going. We are starting the 27th of this month, 29th of this month. We will be providing free tax preparation for the community members. This is a partnership we are doing with the Internal Revenue Service, IRS, where it's called the Volunteer Income Tax Preparation, the VITA program. We are one of few organizations in the county, institutions in the county, who is doing this. And people from other communities come to take advantage of this. Our people hesitate a lot of time for fear of other things, for the rumors that they're hearing. In addition to that, every other week and now every month, we give out culturally relevant groceries. Just in 2025, we gave out over 190,000 pounds of food to close to 1,000 families here, including lamb. We give that out. So I'm just listing to you the different resources, because you said we have limited resources. We have partnerships, and we have some internal resources and resources through other partnerships that we have established the past 7 years that are readily available for the community. But oftentimes people wait until it is rather too late. We have legal aid where we can connect them to lawyers when they have some of these things. And information, we are constantly having trainings. Just in 2025, we have organized more than 8 different training sessions on financial literacy, on immigration, know your rights issues, on health-related issues, and we have trained over 535 people. These are all resources and things that are happening, and I would love to see more Gambians participate and take, advantage of these resources. But a lot of times, people will say, "Oh, I didn't know."
Pa Usman, certainly, I think that institutions do a lot of important work, and you also have to sort of, in a way, trade in a community that you understand very well. And I'm saying this simply because the most Gambian communities, I always say we're a different breed of people. We're wonderful. We're very united. We're very supportive. We're very kind. We're very, very peaceful. But there's also different nuances to the way we coexist. Stuff, for example, sometimes we talk about slightly about the distrust people have by virtue of not really, but perceived distrust. If like sort of notions that we have, these normative notions that we have certain people or certain groups of people that we don't even understand. I'm curious to really pick your brain on why do you think this exists in terms of why an institution as important as yours is here and other communities are coming to embrace ownership of what you're doing, and you feel as though that our community is not taking ownership or they're not. Do you think it's an issue of erosion of trust and confidence between you, or where does this idea of you established for something as more than being created for the Gambian community and all of other African communities in Washington? And I'm just curious to understand when it actually happens.
You have asked me a very dedicated question, and I'll be happy to answer it for you. This, number one, Gambians and several communities are taking advantage of and participating in the resources that we provide. In fact, it got to a point that some of the staff would even say, oh, we have Gambians come in there and want to act sometimes like it's done back home. I have to see Pa Ousman. Even though when they need the service, my staff can easily help them to get things done because we have a team of 16 staff who can work and get things done for them. But they would insist that they have to see me because historically, that's what we know back home. I have to talk to the leader, the boss, the most senior man for my thing to be solved, for my problem or issue to be solved. Little do they know that we have an established institution and we are required by law to be fair and balanced in how we distribute the resources that belong to the community. You knowing me or being a family member or somebody is not going to change anything, should not change it. I will be doing something against the law for hooking EB up, or EB comes to our food distribution and I give him 3 bags of lamb because I know EB. But another person comes from Senegal or Congo, or I mean, somebody that's even from Alaska, or a white Caucasian or a Spanish person or somebody else, and I give them, I told them we have no lamb, or give them 1 bag, give everybody else 1 bag, but because I know EB, I give him 3 bags. For somebody to apply for housing, I decide to, even though they don't meet any of the criteria, I decide to give them this. So our people sometimes want to bypass the system. We want to do certain things based on what we know, and this thing is established a certain way because we do not want to bypass those things. That's one of the issues right there. For example, just last week, we had a woman whose kids were in our after-school program or midwinter break. I brought the kids and didn't give them lunch. My staff engaged them. It wasn't helping. By the time I engaged them, they get mad and said they wouldn't even listen to me talk. Say, I'm going to come pick up my kids. You brought your kids. The kids are there. They are crying. Other kids are eating. And it is your responsibility as a parent to bring them lunch, to give them lunch, to come to the program. We facilitated everything that has to do with the program. But give your kids food that they're going to eat. The person say did not provide it. And we are calling to facilitate, discuss this. Say, okay, no problem. I'm going to come pick up my kids. That person is going to go disgruntled and start to say a lot of things and wouldn't say what happened and how it happened. We send out things to say, fill out this form. You say you're not going to fill it. There's accountability in this country. The monies that we are receiving, we have to account for at the end of the day. Entities and institutions giving them to us, actually needs accountability. And that is certainly an issue. The other one is the work that I do as a media person partly affects this work that I do as a nonprofit because people are not able to separate it. I'm a media person. I don't hide it. I said it to you at the beginning. Nintara je ninga fengo fenji je habita kene balto movie balon na social media. I am required by law to protect people that I serve, my organization. Every one of us have to sign a confidentiality. We have a confidentiality policy that every staff and volunteer has to sign and get trained on to know that every information should be protected. People's PII, personal identifiable information, should be protected. And this is law. We cannot, if we share any of the services we provide for people, mentioning their names and stuff, I mean, we will be breaking that law. So sometimes people have that fear that, oh, if I go there, whatever I do is going to be out in the public. We can organize a party and put it out in the public. We can organize an after school program for the kids and things that have nothing to do with interfering with somebody. It should be celebrated. Basically, the things that should be celebrated, we put that out there. Our annual Sounds of Africa festival, some of the iftars and events we organize, things we do for the kids, those regular programs. But you will never see, few things you would never see on anywhere, on any platform, is we have helped this person pay their rent. We have helped this person with food. We have helped this person put them in housing. We have given this person a lawyer. We have done this for this person, that person, individual assistance and support we have done for people, victims of domestic violence and all other community members that we've supported. When we organize an event, that's a general thing. I mean, events are shared because that's celebratory moment. Like we are about to have our annual gala coming up on December 31st. That's something that's going to be out there. The kids event we did on the 27th of last month, that's something you will see out there. See us posting pictures and videos of people who we have helped with individual assistance, like housing, I mean, lawyers and things like that. You will not see those things. And that's another thing. So because of my media work personally, and I'm the head of it, sometimes it is not distinguishable. I started this as an all-volunteer organization out of my living room in Everett. I did it for years. It wasn't until about a year and a half ago that I started having staff. Until now, I have, more staff, and I have 16 staff now. But back then, I was the face of the organization. I was the only person. So when it transitioned, that I have staff and different people are now responsible for different roles, it's hard for my people to understand that this is now an established institution. And people will call me directly and talk to me. Before, it was only my cell phone that was available. We could not afford an office line. As it grew, we established and have office lines. You need official help, call the office number. So when people call me and they're not able to get hold of me because I'm in back-to-back meetings and doing other things, and there are other people doing work that if I do their work, they wouldn't have a job. So I have to allow different people to do their jobs. Some of my people don't like this. I mean, daf ñoo jaay ne moo ñu ëpp léegi wala dafa tekki wala lii lële. A lot of words are being said when it is actually not that. I have people that are hired, that are trained, that are competent and can take care of your issues. You go through them, your problem and issue can be solved much faster than you waiting and insisting that you must talk to Pa Ousman. But the elephant in the room actually has to do with a lot of jealousy. I told you this earlier. There is a lot of jealousy. There is a lot of undermining. There is a lot of people going down underneath. Lee. And they should know that, as I always say, if two elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers. If two elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers. There are individuals and Gambian-led organizations here that have been here 10, 20 years before the establishment of Wawak, that takes Wawak as a competition. There are people who are establishing or trying to establish similar things, which is okay, the more the merrier, but they do not think this should be in existence. And I'm telling you this with facts and evidence. I always reach out, I always participate and volunteer to do things for community-led. Anything that has to do with the community. We don't wait to be invited. And we try to organize ourselves in a way that we don't necessarily serve as competition with other groups, but complement one another. But evidently, over the years, I've had groups that try to undermine the things that we are doing, that try to do the same things, going after similar resources that we did and try to claim as if, okay, he's only doing media. They are doing media. We are the ones doing this work. We are the ones doing this. I've had conversations with organizations and groups and try to bring us together. And it didn't just work out. I have given my all and all the resources, activated all the resources of our organization, working with different African organizations, from the Liberian community to the Guinean community to the Malawian community and other communities, who would come and embrace and activate and use the resources we have, who would share the resources we have with their communities on their platforms, who would take advantage of this and their leadership and others come to volunteer at our programs, who would always reach out because they know they are not as big as Wawak and are as established as Wawak or don't have access to the resources that Wawak has. And if anything happens, they reach out and we collaborate and we communicate and see how we can help each other. These are very important things. This does not apply to every group, but there are some groups who actually feel that way. And there are some groups that when I was establishing this had sent people to me, elders in the community that called me and threatened me and said, "Ibe menke kang imanyan na kela. Nying sata obi janne janite binajang." Let me say this. Nying sata obi janne janite binajang. Nga moyle ko ibe nyin kekang. Bari dole nyin ke janne janite binajang. Bari itolle burukata. Ifanabe burukala nima nyin tuje. Those elders are still here in this community. When I reach out to communities, every organization here, Gambian organization, especially when I started this, I said, I am coming to add value to what is happening based on my lived experience, based on the trends, based on what I think can happen, based on the opportunities that are there, based on the gaps that exist, based on the needs of our community, based on my experience, I can make a big difference. And hey, there's a history to this, EB. When I came to the US, I told you how I came here. I lived in Atlanta first. I was part of the Atlanta Gambia Emergency Relief Association, AGERA. Back then, introduced a lot of things to change 4th of July celebration and a lot of things that was happening there. Had lots of ideas as a young person and how things can work. The ideas and visions were not believed in. Where everything I'm doing now started then when I picked it in and it wasn't bought into. Because Kafuko Manfair, Kafobe existing, and you have diverse people with diverse opinions. A lot of the ideas to them were not attainable, undoable, were not, couldn't do them. They downplayed it Yafar. I was just one young man that just came from Gambia. I left Atlanta and went to Alaska. The same thing in Alaska. When I got there, the same thing happened. I was part of the Gambian organization there, the Senegambian Association. In fact, I was made the president at some point. But the ideas and the visions and the things that I think are possible weren't taken. I came here and decided to form this separately to come up with different ideas, but to complement the efforts of other groups. And I've had a good relationship with some, but some continue to undermine and say a lot of things that are non-existent, that are not true, that I don't go talk about anywhere. These things would only be heard today, that in some instances, some people, and you ask follow-up questions, I'll be happy to delve into anything that you want me to answer. As I told you before the show started, I don't sugarcoat. And everything I'm telling you is indeed based on facts.
And to that point, and I really, because I think this is extremely important, you know, part of the perceptions that people peddle, again, like I said, most times some things are just perceived, they're not even real, you know. But also you have to realize too, sometimes people's fears about certain things or certain people, sometimes it comes out from a justified position. I'm not sure about what is happening here, but I'm really interested to understand, is this some of these that people peddle about your work? Because again, you're not only serving the Gambian community, right? But a lot of what you hear sometimes I think comes from our very own. And we understand that's not unique to you. That's for a lot of successful people too. It's kodo bikaje. You know, Pausman kodota Gambia toyala, kodo bikaji Gambian ola, Gambian Association or toya, you know, or even resources that could have been allocated to Gambia Association or Pausman now to Abikeje. You know, but the question that naturally would rise is that, oh, how about akanyunkul make a community, akadomurol mindi community, like a family member, aka dinual member, grandma association, all other things that he's doing. right? That naturally even defies that position in itself. But I'm curious though, why do you think that's the case? Did you have a personal problem with the primary Gambian associations, Miyalanko Bejang, or like individuals who are part of that association? If is there any history to it at all, so much that is so hard? Because I even remember when I was part of it at some point, part of discussion was, look, let's have a sit down with him for him to help us. I don't know how that ended because I was not part of the meeting myself. But I'm just curious though, like what is it? Why it's so hard for you and other institutions that are here to work together to try to embrace each other to make sure at the end of the day,
For the record, Komnga Fue Nyaming is not all Gambian organizations or Gambian-led organizations. As late as yesterday, I was on the phone with Lamin Samate from ICOPS, in which some people who have difficulties or challenges with housing and stuff, they called and tried to find help for those folks. Annually, we organize our iftar with the Bilal Islamic Center. Just 3 weeks ago, we were with the soccer team, Sigam soccer team that you just mentioned, that
I was there.
They hosted their event at our center, and we activated our resources to the best of our ability to support that effort. But even besides that, I personally sit on a committee that was responsible for distributing money to youth-led organizations and institutions that are helping to fight, drugs and stuff. And I personally recommended that organization to receive money they have never received in the history of the organization. This is not a lie. Ask Charles, ask Ibucham, ask Iboy Drame, and others. Yes. Money that that organization has never received. Prior to that, during COVID, cutting checks for that organization to help them reserve soccer pitches and fields to do the work. This is all in the records. Charles and Eboy and others can share this information. And the Grammar Association you mentioned, of course, that is something we supported. And the initiative came through our annual back to school that we organize for people who don't know. Because when I came here, one of the first things I did when I wanted to start this was to get that Grammar Association, was to organize an after school program for the kids. Because I've done these things all my life. I'm passionate about kids. When I was in Atlanta, everything I used to do for kids during Commonwealth Days, 4th of July, other places, I drove my car. Mojaju would not let me lie. We were the ones responsible for the social department of the Atlanta Gambia Emergency Relief Association, AJERA, that organizes the July 4th and does all of this. I would drive my car, put gas in it, go from Marietta to Alfreta to, College Park and other places, picking up kids. Sometimes if I go to pick up some of the kids, the parents would be making fun of me. Topal and Pausman, Mohamud Faida me, Topal and Pausman, this and this. I'm trying to organize and mobilize their kids and supporting them and teach them about our culture and take them off the streets and add value to them. Some of the things we are doing currently in our after school program. Parents would say that. So I was doing this after school, this back to school for the kids, and I called to invite families. And this woman told me, I would love to be there with my kids, but I'm going out of town. But my mom would be here with my kids. If she has a ride, she can bring them. She gave me her mom's number. I also have my neighbor. I told my neighbor, and she would want to come with her grandkids as well. And before you know it, 3, 4, 5, 7 grandmas wanted to come. I didn't have time to call all of them. I said, let me create a WhatsApp group, just where I can coordinate the logistics to pick these grandmas for that thing. By the time I created that group, the next minute before I know it, I introduced myself to say, I just created this group to facilitate this logistics. And 1, 2 of them respond. Before you know it, they started, and they started giving me numbers of other grandmas who actually wanted to come because they were here, they were bored, they didn't have much to do, they were not known, they didn't know each other. Some of them that knew each other did not have a way of connecting. And through this group, they just started talking about Karile, Nala Tata Angalter Adinkor, Nimbal Dinko to Abudu, Maryland, Nimbe Gambia, Karile, Karibe Jang. Before you know it, one day I just sat and had an announcement by one of the grandmas. That, well, we have made, they mentioned the name of their president. For their privacy, I don't want to say it as our president. Wait a minute, what is happening here? President? And she also came and they were congratulating her that, oh, she cannot do this alone and that she needs to connect with others and do whatever. She needs help, people who can help her to do this work, because Alfaya among Sonia, and she needs basically an executive. Now, this coincided with the 2020 census coming. And the Census Bureau was trying to reach organizations and communities, different communities, to make sure that there was outreach and awareness done about the census. I was going out and having meetings and connecting and introducing the work that I do to different organizations, including the Northwest Sierra Gambian Association that you asked. I wrote a letter. I wasn't expecting this question to come. I'll be happy to share these documents with you. I wrote a letter to the Northwest Sierra Gambian Association to tell them that we would like to work with them, asking for a couple of things, introducing the organization, telling the then leadership about the history of my relationship with this organization, because I told you about the media work that I do. Brimbe, Atlanta, before I came to Seattle, almost every state that has Gambians in it, I used to be responsible for doing marketing for them, because I had a system called robocalls, WhatsApp, group chats, and all of these things. I had a system that I could use that has the database. I had the database of different Gambian communities in the United States. And the people in those states leverage that. They contact me, and I could record 1 minute to 1 minute, 30-second voice message that I send out, and it goes to everybody at the same time. I used to do that for the Gambian community here a lot. In the early days, Pamane is not going to can speak to this. You can verify what I'm telling you, because he was the first president. My relationship with the Sierra Gambian Association, for example, dates back to Pamane's time, when he was the president and I was bringing Singate, aka Freaky Joe, here, because I was his manager then. I partnered with them to bring Singate here. Saidi Sise is not going to let me lie. He was our host, me and Singate, when we came here. Boy, Silla Seku Fati is not going to let me lie. I worked with several of them. Up to the time of Babukar Jallo, I had a good relationship with this organization, where a lot of their outreach efforts, I was providing outreach for their programs. I was giving them ideas that I was doing in Atlanta, like the kids events and stuff for them to do over here at the time. All the names I mentioned to you, go and verify this thing for you. I partnered with them and to bring different Gambian and Senegalese artists that we were promoting at the time, who were doing things at the time. Whether it was, to expose them to the community here during their events. Whether it was Singate, whether it is Pa Omar Jack, who now lives here, whether it is Papa Njai Ngewel, whether it is Pap Chopet. I have Fatu Lauberada, Asli Maha. There are different artists that we have exposed them here. If you go to Pabobo Jabate's page, he currently is back in the Gambia. Just a few days ago, when our brother Chess passed away, may he so rest in peace, Pabobo did a video in which he's interviewing Chess. And they are talking about it. Him and Chess were talking. And you hear him mention my name. In 2007, when I came with Singate, you hear them mention my name. This dates back to 2006, 2007, before I moved to Seattle. So in one instance, they were named, the Gambian Association was named the African Pride International Customer of the Year, because of the support that I had with them, the work I was doing with them at the time. So a lot has happened between me and that organization. But certainly, after Babukar's time, a disconnect started when I moved here. The back to school, I'm telling you, this is something that I initiated. And I wanted to do, and invited Parboy, Jomma's husband, to a meeting. He's also here and alive. We had our meeting, I think it was at Bantaba. Talk about this, I talk about what I wanted to do. He's decided to support the event, to provide DJ services back then. I booked the park with my money. provided food and reached out to a lot of the restaurants here. I mean, then there were even no restaurants beside Bantaba. But Jesus was doing catering, and several people. Some people will buy pizza. Some people will donate me food. People like Jesus, before she opened her restaurant, she would provide me with, I mean, a foil bowl of meat pie and fish pie, maybe something else. Other people will donate money here and there, and we put together the event. And what instances I had the Gambian organization want to organize, I mean, the same thing. They came to me and approached me. I opened up the it. After everything was done, all the logistics were in place. The only thing the Gambian first organization facilitated in that event was not more than 120 something or 30 something dollars, which was even a reimbursement for things that I've already provided. I organized the event and everything was intact. They just showed up on the day as partners and reimbursed me. I showed them, gave them the receipts, and they reimbursed me for some of the things that I did. But once this was established, I mean, it started, the rumors started coming. I don't know when they talk about Ikakodo sort of deal Gambian organization. Now, what money? Who gives money? Who just sits and gives money to any organization in the United States that you did not follow a process to apply, that you did not have the requirements to meet, that you do not have the service as one of your deliverables and things that you are doing as your priority areas? Money you don't apply for. So Melbe Sila Kawofo, I don't know where they get it from. I can delve into this relationship, and definitely I wouldn't, to be frank to you, they do a lot of undermining of the work that I do, the Gambian Association, dating back to 4 leadership till now. And I'm not just saying this. I don't like to say this. I've been very focused and not distracted and talk about this, but it's important for the community to know.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of undermining that happens. And believe it or not, at the end of the day, it's the community that suffers. And the latest experience just 3 years ago, I mean, what I'm telling you is I have a letter that I wrote to them introducing the work that I was doing and everything, and asked them to send me a calendar of events for these programs that they organize in the year, in which their response, they put to me that literally almost every single calendar, every single holiday of the year, whether it's Salo Lembang, Banna Salo, Sunkar Salo, Mother's Day, Father's Day, 4th of July, every single holiday, for the most part, they said they organize something around these holidays, which is not, I mean, factual. It wasn't the case. But just so I didn't organize anything. Additionally, I requested in that same letter that I would like to meet with them to discuss how we can collaborate. And that letter I still have. I'll be happy to, I mean, share. It says that they want to be on the record to say that they are the biggest organization that serve the interests of the Gambians in Washington, and they did not want to set the wrong precedents to partner with organizations like us. So they didn't even think a meeting was necessary. Even to meet with me, they weren't open to at the time. They organized 4th of July. We activate all our resources. I bring my entire staff for 2 days. We spend a lot of money to buy food to come and feed the community at that event. But a lot of things went wrong to the extent that last year, 4th of July, you didn't even see us there. I organized end of year party because people asked me for this. I wasn't ready to do so. But because nothing was being organized, I organized it. And it was successful and sold out event. And did so well. Last year on September 15, I got a text message with a flyer, which was followed by a quick phone call from their president then, who said they are organizing an end of year party. December 31st. Venue to be determined. Time to be determined. Even the date was to be determined. And they said New Year's Eve party. That party was never organized. And people came to me and asked, are you going to do this? You did it last year. It was so successful. Because I did not want any issues, I left it alone. I didn't do it again. And I've had this conversation with so many of their people. The food distribution we are doing that has been very consistent for solid 5 years, still continue to do so. But at some point, they tried to get into the food distribution and even went to some of the partners that I was dealing with and tried to get them to give them the same food. And those people reach out to me to say, these folks are asking for food. How does this happen? This and that. We went through a little bit of back and forth, and I had to tell their leadership, I just don't want to prolong this. because I am very focused. I don't want to keep coming back and forth to respond to this. There is so much work that needs to be done, and I'm very focused. But it's definitely, there is no doubt that it's affecting the community. As late as yesterday, in fact, some things came up that look like, okay, there's obvious
conflict,
like kind of like a rivalry or competition, unhealthy, that shows up, that ends up confusing the community, or the community not understanding or knowing what it is, or the community end up losing.